Okay, so guys, for today, our session will be based on virtual machines and Kali Linux, and also later on I'll show you some hands-on also. So session is going to be very interesting. So please be there till the end.
Okay, so hi everyone, and today we will be, learning about virtual machines and virtualization, and how do we implement virtualization through this virtual box, which Sakshi will let you know how do you set up that and what are its functions and why do we use that. We can focus more on the hands-on part today. Okay, so our topic starts with what is a virtual machine. So virtual machine is basically, it is a fake computer inside your real computer. It's like, a way to create a computer within a computer so that we can run different operating systems on the same machine. That means that, like, VMs, like, all the virtual machines that we create, they are separate from each other, and any function, any function that is, or any process that is happening in one virtual machine, it does not affect the other virtual machine. So, like, it is very useful for us when, if we want to test any, like, if we want to see how a virus works on a software. So if we use it on one virtual machine, then that the real virtual machine, the real, like, the software, it does not get affected. So that is the one of the benefits of using virtual machine. So, each virtual machine that we create on our software, it uses a chunk of computer's memory while it's running, and it has its own virtual hard drive. So you can install operating systems in them, we can install systems, and we can run our softwares in them. And you can even, like, you can save all the processes that you have done there in your virtual systems. Okay, so why do we use machines? Like, what is the need for virtualization? Okay, so as we all know that these days we get many, even you also get a lots of links on your email that, like, you have once such a price, click on the tab to redeem your price. We all get these mails, we all get some of these malicious mails. And sometimes we don't even know, but, like, the our what do you say, the virus or the malware, it gets installed in our computer. But using virtualization software, it becomes possible for us to protect our system from, from the attachments that might be sketchy, from the websites that are you not sure about, like, torrent sites you use for downloading the movies, and any pirated TV sites, and even it protects you from the software that is downloaded from some random sites and not from the authorized sites. So virtualization helps us in protecting our device from all these pointers that I have listed here. So this is one of, what can we say, like, this is how virtualization works. This is a flowchart of how virtualization usually works. So in virtualization terms, the operating system that we are running right now is called as host. It is like, in the A part you can see it is like our host virtual machine, and it is our operating system which is host, and every virtual machine that we run with this is known as a guest. So if a guest virtual machine gets hacked, our host remains safe. As I told you earlier, like, what happens, whatever the processes or implementations that happens in one virtual machine, it does not affect our host operating system that was initially installed on our systems. So this is one of the main advantages of why we are focusing on virtualization. And even if a guest VM gets hacked, your host remains safe, and for this reason, security researchers use this. So we can use virtual machines on to safely monitor what they are trying to do and how they work without risking the computer. So, so by using virtual machine, we can test how a virus works, or what are the, how a virus affects a system without letting it affect our original system. Okay, so this is a hypervisor. Hypervisor is basically a computer software or hardware that creates and runs virtual machines. So it's like, it's a physical hardware in which all the virtual machines are created, and then they are run through it. And a computer on which a hypervisor runs one or more machines is called as host machine, and each virtual machine is called a guest machine. As I told you earlier, the initial system on which we are running our virtual machines is known as host, and in on our system, the virtual machines that we create, the separate virtual machines, the different virtual machines that we create on our system, they are known as the guest machines. You will learn about them, like how they actually work in your subject later in operating system, but for now, for to have a basic idea, I think this would be enough. Okay, and then we come to benefits. As you already know, like it helps in giving us operational flexibility because we can operate separate instances of multiple operating system types, reducing overhead, running multiple virtual machines on the same underlying hardware. We like the advantage is like we can run as many as virtual machines in, like, in the same hardware, in the same like the hypervisor that I told you earlier. So in that hypervisor, lots of virtual machines are created, and we can run them. More like we can also run them all of them at the same time. So, like, it reduces our overhead. Centralization consolidates systems to simplify management. As all the virtual machines are in one hardware, it is easier for us to locate and navigate like what is happening and what implementations are happening in each virtual machine. Scalability, it is like we can easily scale our virtual environment. And disaster recovery is like it restores data and system states from VM instances. So, like, even if any data gets lost in the process, it is able to restore the data from the instances that we create in our virtual machines. So that was all from my side. So how do we implement virtualization? As I'm talking like about like how what is a virtual machine and what is virtualization. So how do we do virtualization? How do we actually implement a virtualization? So we do it through a software known as VirtualBox. There are many virtual boxes that we can use. So thank you so much. And like further, like Sakshi will brief you of how this works and everything about it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so hi everyone. Now we'll move on to a quick introduction to Linux operating system. So a one-line introduction to Linux will be that it is an open source Unix-based operating system. By open source we mean that um, by open source we mean that it is freely available to install and to use. And what do we mean with Unix based operating system is like if we move back to 1980s, there was an operating system when it was Microsoft DOS disk operating system. Then came Apple Mac, which had better functionalities than DOS, but it was very costly. Then a few years later, then came Unix operating system, which had far more better functionalities than Mac, but it was even more costly than Mac. So then there were like trials to minimize its cost and to make it more suitable to work on a PC. To make the Unix operating system more suitable to work on a PC were done. More trials were done, more projects were made on this. Then, as it is written, like on in 1991, someone named as Linus Torvalds, he made a project, and within his project, he came up with this Linux operating system. So, this Linux operating system, the commands which we which we use in Linux operating system is very much similar to Unix, and so it is called as Unix based. Other than this, Linux is very stable operating system. It has its own advantages, and due to this, it is still in use today. Like it is very secure. Viruses don't affect it as much as it does on Windows. So this is what Linux is all about. It is the history of Linux, like how it came into use, and it is also in use till now. So Linux is very much different from the Windows. Like in Windows, once we install the Windows onto our device, what happens is that C drive and D drive get automatically generated into the My Computer, and probably E drive also, which is CD-ROM drive. But in case of Linux, all our data is stored in the directories in form of files and folders. Different directories are created, and in those directories, different files and folders which are made for different purpose. All our data is stored in those files and folders. To access those directories, to access those data, we will have to understand the root directory structure. We will have to use some commands through which we will be able to access our data or the functionalities that Linux provides us. So here are some like 16 basic commands that we'll use. Anyone who will be using the Linux operating system will have to come across all these. So let's have a quick review about all of them. Yeah, first of all these commands start with a forward slash and then the command word is written. This is how the syntax of Linux works. So first one is slash bin. All the executable files, like all the exe files that we have in Windows, all those executable files are stored in slash bin directory. Then comes slash boot. All like when we boot our system, when we boot the Linux operating system, some files which help in booting of the operating system, all those files are stored in slash boot directory. Then comes slash dev. All the hardware device files that we use, that we attach, like some kind of CD-ROM or CPU, as it is written here, over here. All those files, like to like to connect our operating system with those hardware devices. All those files are stored in slash dev. Then comes slash etc. It For every individual program, we will have a start program, end program. All those files, all those like files to configure your application with this operating system, all those files are stored in slash etc directory. Then comes slash home. So as in Windows, we have like administrator, then we'll have user one, user two, or the guest user. Similarly, in Linux, we'll have many users working on the same server. All the like data of all the users are stored inside slash home. Okay, so slash home is for that. Then comes slash lib. Slash lib is like the help button for Linux. Like if we need help with some executing our programs, or we need help with some syntax and all, slash lib will help us with it. Then comes slash media. Like if we enter, like we insert some CD in our CD-ROM, then it gets temporarily mounted onto our computer, which enables us to view those files in it, or change or edit. All those temporary files are stored inside slash media directory. Then comes slash mnt. These are temporary files. Like if we have some files inside our CD in which we open and then we edit it, so all those temporary files are stored in slash mnt. Then comes slash opt. It's like once we install Linux into our device, then there may be some updates later on. Like Windows also have many updates, like Windows 10 also have many update packages. So Linux also have many update packages. So if you want to update, or you want to add some more functionalities which have came later and which was not at that time when you had initially installed it on your device, so that all files you can whenever you install them later, they all get installed inside the opt directory. Then comes sbin. Sbin stands for super bin. Okay, so like we have administrator in Windows. Similarly, we have root user in Linux. Administrator in Windows stands for root user in Linux. So all those executable files which are required by the root user, it is stored in sbin directory. Then comes the SRB. Like if we have in Windows, that we have Windows Task Manager, which gives us information about the program running, program not responding, or program closed or open. All those information that is stored in slash SRB directory. Then it is slash TMP. So it is very much similar to the clipboard of Windows. Like we use the commands of cut and paste, then temporarily it gets stored in clipboard. So TMP is that temporary directory. This is slash user. Like we have said that in slash home, different the directories of the data of different users are stored. Means to access the data of different users, we use like slash home, then slash user one, slash user two. This is how we can access the files of different users. Next is slash where. So, like we have some files which are expected to grow. Like if we want to, for example, if we want to look about the history of visiting some files, like if you want, I want to look at the history, the amount of times I have opened Google Chrome. I've made some program like that which will help me to know about the number of times I have opened Google Chrome. So all those things which keep on increasing with time, those are stored in slash where directory. Slash root is the home directory of the root user. It contains all the directories which a root user uses. Okay, so last is slash proc. Okay, so in like Windows Task Manager, we also get the information about the memory usage. Like this much memory is used by this program, and this much memory is empty right now. Like this much memory is not utilized right now. So all those data is stored in slash proc directory. Okay, so that was like a basic introduction of Linux.
So, before starting with how to install Linux, I would like to tell you some things that in the hardware part of our computer, we have many things. So, we have some input output devices, we have a processor, which may be your Intel Core processor or anything else, and there's a graphic processor also. So when you use any operating system, that operating system works on the integration of the processor, which is basically the CPU, and the CPU is basically combines uh, the memory processor, which is the Intel or something else, and the graphic processor. So when you do on any other operating system, then the CPU has to work on both, like the memory processor and the graphic processor. But when you use Unix based operating system, then when you use command line only, then the CPU will only work on the memory processor, or it will only interact with how to create and use and edit some files or finding some vulnerabilities that do not need to basically work on many things or related to graphics. So now, why do you work on Linux? It basically provides you detailed information about the processes running onto your computer. So there's a GUI part, which is graphic and user interface, which you are seeing right now on my screen, or this is the desktop GUI. So now, yeah, what is a shell? A shell is a program that takes command from the keyboard onto the program and gives them to the operating system to perform some functions. So how does operating system perform some functions? It interacts with the software and the hardware. So whenever it needs to perform any functions to hardware, it first needs some uh, commands. It is a computer, it's not a human that you just tell them that do this, so it will do this. No, it needs some algorithm or some commands that needs to be performed. When we say it is a shell, it can be a command line. So when I say command prompt, so this is the command prompt of Windows, and on my screen this is the command prompt of my Windows, and this is the directory. So this is called the directories, and these are the basically by default setup of Windows command line. And so this is called terminal. When I say this is command prompt, this is a terminal which provides an interface. It is a tool that provides an interface that is used to pass shell commands to the program, that we have to provide some commands to the operating system. So how do we do it? We created this terminal, which is called Windows PowerShell terminal, or in Linux we call it Linux terminal. So this terminal is a tool which passes some commands, and that those commands are run onto the program, and that program is called the shell, and that opens a window and that lets you interact with the shell and basically run the functions. So in Windows, we have Window PowerShell also, which is this. So these are two command line interface and the terminal, which is the PowerShell. So first to install Kali Linux, we first need to ensure that updating part. So if we type winware on this start bar, you can see this my version and the operating system build part. So you just need to update it. And how do you update? You just type update, and you just click on check for updates, and you simply update it. Once you update your Windows, after ensuring that your Windows is updated, so you need to run some commands on the PowerShell. So how do you open that? You type Windows PowerShell and you run it as an administrator. So I hope you get those points told by Garima, that in Windows we have administrator as the top priority person, and in Linux we have root. So you should run it as administrator, or you can right click and run as administrator, and you should see this kind of window. Yeah. So when you open this window, it will eventually run. Yeah. So this is my window, and I can easily type my commands here. So what you will need to do, you need to run these commands onto this PowerShell, and then you need to run these commands and then restart, and finally you need to install the Kali Linux. For the Kali Linux, you need to install Linux kernel. So what a kernel is? So as Shivangi told you, that this is these are the processes. So kernel is a part of operating system which connects the processes and the hardware. So you need the uh, WSL kernel. So it will install a virtual kernel. You just need to click on this link and download the latest WSL tool to Linux kernel, and it will eventually get downloaded. And so when this will open, this kind of thing will appear, and you just need to click next, 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 and after that it will get finished, and you just need to click on finish. So you need to set WSL2 as which is the version 2 as default, and you need to get Kali Linux on Microsoft Store. So it's an app. It will run on your Windows system like an app. You do not need any virtual machine, because there's already a virtualization feature. You just need to launch it. You can launch it from here, or I have already downloaded it. You can launch it from here also. So it is nothing but just a command line. You can run any command from there only. After this, what it will do, you if you run some of these commands, it will not allow you to run Kali Linux. Why? Because you have not enabled virtualization feature. So when you need any GUI or Kali Linux, then it will not support. Why? Because you have not downloaded the GUI, which is the graphic user interface of Kali Linux. And to download these or to run this, you just need to run these commands, which is sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade, which is basically you need to update and upgrade all the packages which for which you need to install GUI. And what is this dash y states? It states that in the further processing, it will eventually ask you that do you want to continue, or do you want to do this or that, and you just do not want to the process to stop and just ask you. You simply state my dash y, which means that the answer for that question that needs to be asked is yes. So just need to run this command, and you need to install the interface of Kali desktop. So that command you also need to do. And after that, there's an XRDP package that you need to install and then run. So after all of this, all you need to do is run this command, sudo service XRDP start, which basically means that you want that XRDP service to enable onto your computer. So just need to type sudo service XRDP, and you need to start it. So yeah, so when you I just tell you this. Yeah, so when you start this, you will get a Unix username. So it will ask you some Unix usernames. I have made that earlier, and after that it will ask me for a password. So you just need to type a password and then retype it, and it will set up, and that updation of the password will eventually get uh, enabled. So I'm just typing my password, and then there's a remote desktop protocol which is running right now. So there's also a problem which gets into play when you run Kali Linux. You have not enabled the virtualization feature of your own computer, which is the Windows. So what you need to do, go to system. Just need to go to command prompt, and you need to type system info dot exe. So it will load all these things, and it will tell you what your hypervisor requirements are. So initially your hypervisor requirements will tell you that there is a uh, yeah. So this hypervisor requirements will be given as output, and it will tell you virtualization enabled in firmware, and it will say no because you have not enabled the virtualization feature onto your computer. So what you need to do for that, for me, it has been detected because I have already done that. So when all you need to do is basically go on to command prompt and just run some settings, and go open your BIOS, and you need to troubleshoot your device, and then you need to set up the firmware settings, and after that you need to restart a computer. So after the restart happens, it will take time, and then it will get you to the boot startup menu. So you need to do is press F10 to open the BIOS setup, and then go to system configuration, which is up here, and you just need to use the left right key onto your computer, and using that you can easily see the system configuration, and you just press down, and this virtualization technology has to be enabled, and you press enter. When you press enter, it will show you enable, disable, and you just press down the down key onto your laptop and just press enter, and it will enable the virtualization feature. And after that you can see onto the bottom of your desktop that F10 to save and exit. So just press F10 and save and exit, and the computer will restart. It will ask for you to save your changes, and you just need to press yes, and the computer will eventually restart. So that's all you have to do. Virtualization feature on, and then again when you type systeminfo.exe like me, then you will the hypervisor will be detected. So all of this is done, and then you need to basically run Kali Linux, and I have enabled the service of XRDP. And what you need to go to the remote desktop. So what I will do, I will go to the remote desktop connection, and from the Windows operating system, I will connect my Linux operating system through a remote desktop connection. So what it is asking for is the IP address uh, of my Kali Linux. So you need to do IP address, and this will be your IP address. You just need to type, and so this is the IP address, and you just need to connect it and press yes. So you just need to type your username, which you will set up, and here is my Kali Linux running onto my desktop. To simply run the terminal, because its time is very less. So how do you run terminal? You can press the terminal emulator here, or you can right click and open terminal here, or if you need any specific folder here to start the terminal with, you can just easily right click and open terminal here. So this is the minimization part. You can easily minimize things, and this is my home directory. So this is my home directory. You can easily see. Now in Linux, you see every file, every folder to say open with terminal or open in with GUI. So it will give you these features, and this is the open terminal, or this is simple open. What it means is basically I am into desktop and then into the cybersecurity folder. So I will just get you through basic commands. Um, for basic commands. I will start with date. So if I say date, it will tell you the date and the time of your and the time zone of your system of a network. And if I say calendar, will say calendar. It will give calendar as an output. And if I say some 1981 calendar, then it will do so. And the command for clear. So the command for clearing these commands onto your laptop is clear. Next is what if you want to make some uh, files or some directory. I will brief you through this that when I open, this is the desktop, and here I have a folder, and in here I have two files. Some commands that I want to tell you is the cd, which is the change directory. Whenever you want to go from one directory to another, go into this directory, and when I go back, it will go into this directory. So what I am doing, what the GUI is doing is this operating system tells the hardware to fetch out some files which are into the cybersecurity 3 folder. So the whole hardware gives some instructions or the output to the operating system, which then gives which the operating system gives to the GUI, which is the graphic user interface, and then it displays that intro and permission files are there. So that's how the whole process happens. But in terminal, you just need to interact with the hardware only. So you just need to change directory and then see dot 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 means you need to go back into the directory. So CD is I'm into cybersecurity 3, and when I say CD dot dot, it will change my directory and I will go back. And when I cybersecurity, so CD cybersecurity, and I get into the desktop cybersecurity. And what if I want to see what all files I'm having in the cybersecurity folder? You just need to press ls, which is listing all the files. When I say ls, we have two files, intro.txt and permission manual.txt. So how I have created these files? So I have created files using the touch command. So when I say touch, what it does, it creates a file. What it takes is touch space the file name. So when I say session, so it will create a text file. Till now I have these two files onto my uh, on my cybersecurity folder. But now after when I created session, so let's see ls, I have three files here. So that's how we create a file. And how do we open this? Use the cat command. And what cat command does is basically open whatever there is in the file. So when I say cat session and enter, nothing happens. Why? Because there is nothing stored in the session file. So what I will do, I will edit. So vi, I want to tell you that vi or vim, vi or vim. So these are the two commands which you need to do for edit and viewing. So we for my Kali Linux, it is one pi, and I just say my file name. It is viewing or whatever there is in the session file. So there's nothing, so it is showing nothing. But now when I want to edit it, I just need to press I, and when I press I can easily I can easily edit. And how do I exit these part? It basically press the escape button and then press the colon, and what it does is write. W means write, that I'm writing onto the session file, and quit. Q means quit, and press enter. So I'm again into that. So if I press cat command and say cat session, now it is opening and outputting that what I have edited. When I again say vi session, so here are the things I can edit it anytime. So I clear this. Next command is to make a folder. So to make a folder, you just need to type make directory, mkdir, which is make directory, which is make folder, and you just need to type the name of the folder, because you cannot, you know, see, you cannot make any folder without its name. So we say make directory, make mkdir, and I say session folder or anything else. So so when I do ls, I can see three files here. Next, you can see there's a difference between text, some files, and this is a folder. So this blue color is a folder. To go into that folder, I can say cd and session folder. So this is how I can go into that folder. And when I want to uh, exit, I can press cd dot cd. That's all. And yeah, but what if you want to remove any file? So what if I want to remove the session file I just have created? Is first I need to go here, cybersecurity. Yeah, so I'm into cybersecurity folder and rm. So rm is remove any file. So to remove any file, we have to name it. So see, we have three files and one folder here. So if I want to delete session file, I have to rm session. And if I do ls, you can see there's no session file here. When I want to delete the session folder, what I will do, I will do rmdir, which is remove directory. So this is the remove directory, and I just need to press the name, enter the name, which is session folder, and now it is gone. So what I have in my hand is intro.txt and permission manual. So this was my first text file on Linux, and now I want to open the permission manual. I want to tell you something from that. So yeah, so there are many permissions given to any file in Linux or in any operating system. So how do we do that? Is when you say that there is a root directory and there is an administrator working over the operating system, then you need every file of this of your operating system into your hardware to have some access. So uh, which person can easily access that? So if I'm logged in as a guest connection. I'm a guest into your operating system or onto your hardware. Then I should not be given some edit access, or I should not be given some good access which a root or a admin has been given. So those we have to control some permissions onto our operating system. Okay. So how do you see, like, what are the permissions given? So I am into the cybersecurity folder. So let's just see what are the permissions of intro.txt. I just say ls hyphen l and just name the file, which is intro.txt. So this is the these are the permissions, that the first three letters are the admin, are the permissions for admin, and next two letters are the permission for uh, you know group, or the last two is other are for public. So here we can only see the first, there's no executable permission for admin, and for intro.txt there's no executable permission, and for group there's only read permission, and for public there is only read permission. So how do we, what all permissions do we have? We have read permission, we have write permission, and we have executable permission for any file. Okay, so these are represented as RWX. And in Linux operating system, what we do, we provide these permissions in form of numbers. So when I say that I want to give executable permission, I will add 1. When I want to give write permission, I will say 2, and for read permission I will say 4. So when I add all of these, I will get I will get what? I will get 7. And for if I want to give RWX permission, so let's just open that into a file. So for RWX, we just need to add all these. So R means 4 plus what does W means? It means 2. And what does executable means? It means 1. And when I add this is 7. And what if I want to give read write permission, which is RW, which is 4 plus write permission, which is 2, and that is 6. And next, if I want to give read permission to that file, what I all need to do is 4. So this, when I say I want to give permission to any file, I say that I want to give permission, and just say admin, uh, then group, and then public. So what I do to change permission of any particular file, all I need to do is change mod, change the module, change the permissions, and then I need to do the numbers. So for admin, I need to do, so you can easily see for admin. For admin, I want to give these permissions, so I go for 7, and then for group I go for 6, and then for public I go for 4. So then I will have the 7, 6, and 4, and then the file name, which is the session. Sorry, the intro. So these are the permissions which are changed when I say ls dash l dash the file name. So the file name. So it will say the rwx, which is for the admin, and then rw, which is for rw is for group, and then r, which is read permission uh, for that. So for public. And now what I want to do is basically copy some files. So all I need to do is copy, uh, for copying. So just type cp, and then the path of the first first file, and the path of the second file with respect to the current file you are in. So if I say I'm onto the desktop and I have one, okay, I have one cybersecurity folder. So I just change my directory. Yeah, so I create some another folder which is mkdir, and I just say session folder or anything else, and I say there are two folders, so I need to copy the intro.txt on into this session folder. What I need to do, I just say cp intro.txt. So I can easily just say the file name because I'm into that folder, and after that I need to add the session folder slash that's it. So, oh sorry, cp intro.txt session. Yeah, so if when I do ls, it is the intro.txt is here. Yeah, so when I do ls, the intro.txt is here, and when I go into the session folder, and I say ls, the intro.txt is here, while it was not there initially. So that's all I want to give some basic introduction and basic command line things. So that's all for now. And for that, how do you log out? I just tell you, just click on this Linux symbol and just say log out, and you can easily save session for future logins, and you can log out. So that's how I logged out. That's all. That's how you run the Linux, run the commands, and the GUI. You have seen the GUI and the terminal. Now I hand over to Nimisha.
So as Sakshi briefed you about the Kali Linux, so this is my Kali Linux, and now we'll be talking about one of the tools for vulnerability assessment. So what is vulnerability assessment? Basically, you do vulnerability assessment to find the weaknesses in the website or the network. Okay. So in Kali Linux, you have the tools for information gathering, like you can see these tools, Multigo and Map. For vulnerability analysis, we have other tools. For web application analysis, we have Suite, SQL Map, Zap, which are very common tools. And today we'll be learning about the OWASP Zap tool. I'll be coming to that. Then we have for data assessment, wireless attacks, sniffing and spoofing. You must, if you have heard about this Wireshark tool, it is very common tool for network sniffing. And these are other tools. So coming to the OWASP Zap tool. So OWASP is Open Web Application Security Project. So under this, is my screen visible?
Yes, Nimisha, it is visible.
Okay. So these are the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities which it commonly detect in the website. So as you can see, the injection, broken authentication, sensitive data exposure, XML. These are all the 10 vulnerabilities that it scans for. You can easily find these and read about them because there is not much time left. So I'll just brief you out about it. You can visit the website of OWASP app and then you can read about each of the vulnerability. So coming to the tool now. So for today, we'll be scanning this vulnerable website, which is HackXOR. It is specially made for this vulnerability assessment, like intentionally made for, so that we can find out what are the vulnerabilities in this website. Okay. So yeah, we'll start. Now what I have to do is just copy paste the URL. And then attack. So let's wait a few minutes. As you can see, it is already showing some alerts and vulnerabilities that which are present in this website. It is still in the process. So this scan takes a lot of time if the website is very much vulnerable. So what we can do is अभी तक जो आ गए हैं, we can see them. So what OWASP scanner does is it scans the vulnerabilities and them in the categories of the level of risk. So as you can see, this X-frame options header not set is in the category of medium. Then we can see the absence of anti-CSRF tokens, which are in the category of low risk. You can also read about the description. Here it is given. Yeah, this vulnerability is very important. I'll even show you कि ये कैसे disclose करे private IP. Basically, your IP is like private to you. So any website should not be disclosing the IP address. So I will just copy paste this link. Yeah, it worked. So yeah, you can see this. It has disclosed the IP address. This one. So likewise, you can visit the URLs that it scanned for various vulnerabilities. You can even, if you double click on it, you can even see the solution for every vulnerability in this tool. So like I would suggest that guys, you install first Kali Linux like like the way Sakshi told you, and then you try to use these tools first. Like this OWASP track tool is very easy to use, so you will be able to use it, and then you can also use this tool Burp Suite, and you can use other various tools. I think this is all for now.